and welcome back to another episode of Quick Spin, the Autoweek podcast that gets to the essence of the automobile. Today, we are talking about the 2022 Nissan Pathfinder. That's right, the 5th generation of the Nissan Pathfinder. You can take a look at this Nissan on our Instagram page right now. That's at Autoweek USA. And hey, while you're over there, why don't you head over to our Facebook, click that like button. That we get all the great Autoweek content we deliver daily sent directly to you. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about this Nissan in just 1 second, but first we have to pay the bills. In case you missed it, Road and Track is now fully loaded. The magazine you've loved for years is now the ultimate lifestyle magazine for automotive enthusiasts. And now, when you join the Track Club by Road and Track, you'll receive 6 supersized issues, access to digital content, dozens of partner privileges, exclusive invites to editorial events, and first dibs on insider automotive events both online and around the world. Hop on in by visiting roadandtrack.com/autoweek. That's roadandtrack.com/AUTOWEEK. And Mark, tell me about this 2022 Nissan Pathfinder. It's all new, as far as I understand.
Hang on, Wren. It wasn't me who drove it. It was you. Remember? You drove it.
I did drive this thing. Yeah, so I drove the 2022 Nissan Pathfinder, and it is, I'll say this much, a leap over the previous generation. But yeah, I'm sure you have some questions lined up, and ask them away.
Well, now, I remember being older than dirt. I remember the first Pathfinder when it came out. That was very truck-like. It had 2 doors. That's how truck-like it was. It was just 2 doors. But it was a lot of fun off-road. I took it all over, in fact, the Southern Sierras and had a blast in that thing. I assume that this is no longer a rough body-on-frame, crude truck-like farm implement. Am I right?
Yeah, that's a fair assumption. No, the Pathfinder hasn't been a farm implement per se, although I'm sure there are some on farms because they're extremely durable. Since the 2nd generation, which launched in 95, the 1st generation obviously in 85, we're in the 5th generation now, and to say it's like a soft, posh, unibody crossover undersells its off-roading chops, which I did go off-roading in it, and it is, way better than it has any right to be. It is, if you find yourself in a bit of an off-road pickle in this thing, at least in the all-wheel drive version, it can do some stuff that it should not be able to do.
And what did you do that you should not be able to do in it, or do I not want to know?
I took it out to the Holly Oaks off-road park and did some trails, and it handled them like an absolute champ. Didn't air down. It didn't really do any prep to the truck. Just kind of said, "Yep, we're going off-roading now," and it handled it as sure-footed as it's not a body-on-frame off-road champ like the Bronco or a Wrangler, but it can do some surprising maneuvers off-road. But mostly people always spending time with the Pathfinder on-road, and the big story for this new Pathfinder is, you guessed it, no more CVT. People have not been a big fan of the CVT in some of the Nissan products, and this does not have it. The big reason is, towing. The new 9-speed automatic is kind of better for towing than the CVT, as what I understand. And I don't know, I didn't tow, but I do know the 9-speed is fantastic. It doesn't bother you, which is what you can ask for an automatic transmission. And I walked you around this Pathfinder to tell you how it was in real time, and we're going to go to that right now. And we are walking around the 2022 Nissan Pathfinder. Man, kicking off the new Nissan lineup more or less, we see the big new Nissan logo plastered right on the front V-Motion grille. This is a 2-tone one. I believe this is a platinum. This is a nice loaded Pathfinder. It is a platinum all-wheel drive. Big things about the Pathfinder. Obviously, the new 9-speed transmission. That CVT's gone and 9-speed's in its place. But more importantly, Nissan's taken a different approach with this Pathfinder, opposed to the, mall-crawling previous generation. This is more focused on, doing what you want to do with a crossover or an SUV, just hitting the trails and being a capable off-roader. Because of that, they made it a little shorter, a little taller, and a little wider. And Nissan looked back at its legacy with the Pathfinder and it took some of the first generation elements, like kind of a more squared off design. You cannot mistake this Pathfinder for any of the other crossovers on the road, because in the back and about 8,000 point font, it screams Pathfinder. It looks good. It's got a lot of presence. Big old wheels. These have to be 20s. 235s, 50/20s. But the story of the Pathfinder does not stop just on the outside looks. Let's hop inside. Let's go in the middle row. It's got, 3-row crossover as to be expected. Some of the big touch points of the new Pathfinder is the flip open second row seating. touch a button, and the seats flip up. That's actually super convenient. And let's hop in that third row really fast. Alrighty. Pop these headrests up. I think I'm the first person to ever sit in this third row. And legroom, I mean, the seat's all the way back. So legroom, admittedly, not great. If I scooched the seat up, it'll be much nicer. Obviously, second row legroom is, fantastic. Let's hop up front before we forget. Ooh, now we are in the driver's seat. Center console. Nice. The interior's good. This is a very well-appointed one. So let's not... do we have a price? That's the $1 million question. Oof, yeah, $50. So about in line with what we saw with the Telluride. It's kind of, I would say this is a response to the Telluride. I mean, that's not how cars work. Obviously, there's a bit of a lag time, but this is definitely a punch back. The Nissan is trying to do great things with the segment. It's a very competitive segment, so you really can't pull any punches. Monostable controls the 9-speed. It's a handsome little center console. The leather's soft and supple. The seat's comfortable. The controls for the driver assistance system are on the left-hand side of the steering wheel. You kind of see it right next to the door to control the steering assist and all that fun stuff, because you can kind of independently choose what driver assistant features you want to have. Speaking of driver assistant features, also auto stop start. You can turn on and turn off a bunch of drive mode selectors. I think that, this is, I don't want to say the best Pathfinder ever, because it should be. That's a kind of a given. But I think Nissan has reevaluated where they stand with the Pathfinder, and it's kind of brought it back to where it once was. But let's see where the rubber meets the road. Let's take this thing for a drive. And we will drive this shortly. The more I think about it, the more I actually really love this Pathfinder. It has a lot of really nice features that both, if you're like an active lifestyle person, right, which automakers are throwing attention at, it hits all those marks, and it has some creature comforts for the mall crawler in us.
When you were climbing it, Infiniti is really proud of the way the second row seat flips up and out of the way, even with a child seat in it to allow access to the third row. What was it like in the Nissan? Was it similar?
It's the exact same system, and it is fantastic.
Oh, okay. But I want to know how the thing drives, and you're going to tell us that, right?
I hope so. Let me click this button. And we are driving, baby. We are here with the 2022 Nissan Pathfinder. I have the nav going. We are going through it all. And we are hitting the highway. Yeah, so the new 9-speed, it does a great job of managing power, right? You will feel it kick down when you really go for it. Ooh, now we're singing. That 3.5 is singing. Yeah, you'll feel it kick down, as all transmissions do when you have this many dang gears. It's a good transmission, a nice step away from the CVT. Obviously, Nissan historically has loved the CVT, and apparently they're still in love with the CVT, but not with this car. The reason being, towing. On the highway, we're cruising around 70. Kind of a porous highway. You get a little bit of the road noise. I think this is rolling on 20s. So the ride is predictably firmer than a smaller wheel. And you might be hearing some of the beeping and blurping. That is from our friends at Bandai Namco. Actually, Nissan reached out to the folks at Bandai Namco to make the sounds for the new Pathfinder. And also I have the adaptive cruise going and the safety features, the lane keep assist, and fairly aggressive on the lane keep assist. It's kind of jerking my hand. It's not so much a lazy suggestion as a firm suggestion, which some may not like as much. Steering feel otherwise, without the driver assistance system, fairly light. You can switch various modes off, like you can turn the steering assist off and still have the adaptive cruise. It's pretty modular in how it's controlled. Dials on the gauge cluster work great. The monostable shifter works great. It's got flappy paddles too if you really want to take over the full control of this car. Digital gauge cluster gives you a nice readout of what's going on. Kind of futuristic. Yeah, the wind noise is not bad. Not a 70, not bad at all. Seats, they feel comfortable. And I think that about does it for me. Let's head back to the studio. If there's a young person in your life who's really into cars, give them the gift of R&T Crew, the ultimate subscription box by Road and Trek for kids ages 6 to 10. Every other month, a box is delivered to their door and stuffed with cool accessories, fun activities, and a magazine chock full of facts, stories, games, and more. Sign up now to receive the all-new Around the World box and enter code Autoweek for 10% off the annual box subscription. Just head over to rtcrew.com, that's rtcrew.com, and use code Autoweek. And let's not forget, I think I didn't really touch on it, but this is powered by the 3.5-liter gas direct injected V6, making 284 horsepower, which is kind of in line with what the segment, needs. The Telluride, of course, which I fawned over recently, a few more horsepower, a slightly larger engine, but about in the same ballpark that Telluride's 291. So yeah, like I said, this thing's kind of nipping at the Telluride's heels.
Well, the Telluride has the advantage of having that beautiful exterior. What do you think of the look of the Pathfinder?
The Pathfinder, it's handsome. I mean, the folks at Nissan Design really kind of pushed further this more masculine looking approach. The last Pathfinder obviously was very soft and rounded, kind of like an SUV that could kind of get lost maybe in a sea of jelly bean SUVs. This is not the case. This is definitely distinct looking in its approach. And I think it looks good. It
looks kind of like an Armada. I'm looking at it. I'm thinking Armada.
It looks like a scaled down Armada a little bit, yeah. Which I'm not going to complain about. I think that's more attractive than kind of a, normal looking generic SUV.
Buyers in that segment, they like that stately presence,
a distinct look.
Yeah. It's big. It looks bigger than it is, and I think people like that.
Yeah, and it is pretty big. It is not a small vehicle by any stretch of the imagination, but it does a great job handling that size.
And you took it to that off-road park, so there's all kinds of neat things you can try there. Steep inclines and declines and rocks to drive over. What was that like?
Well, we didn't do any rock crawling, which I personally would not advise in this or any new vehicle because that seems like a bad way to spend money.
Okay.
Banging up your new car. No, but it definitely we did the trails and stuff. And if you find yourself, say, in a campsite, because a lot of people are doing adventure stuff. They're going kayaking, they're going camping. Not me personally. I don't like bugs,
sure,
or water for that matter. But if you find yourself in a more precarious situation that you say your Sentra could not handle by any stretch,
right.
This has a few handy features to help you do off-roading and like hill descent, but most crossovers have a hill descent control. This one works really well, but this, like I said, conquered some hills that I did not think it could do, and it was very competent.
It has, I assume it has on-road like an M&S tread. It doesn't have AT or
That's
NT
correct.
tread.
That's correct. It just has a normal street tire, which again, if you put a very aggressive, like some Goodyear Wranglers on this, perhaps, or if you put some BF Goodrich KF2s on it or something, this would be you would shock people with how good this is off-road. But just for cruising around, which I think the vast majority of these Pathfinders are going to do,
99%.
It is great at that too.
Wow, good. So it does everything well. What the heck is the price on this thing?
But Mark, this is a quick spin, and I have to squeeze the essence of this bad boy out.
Yes. What is the essence? How would you say the essence? The raison d'être, as you say,
of the 2022 Pathfinder. Yeah, I think it's kind of a return to form. I know I hammered that earlier, but I think the product folks at Nissan looked at the Pathfinder and said, "Why does this exist?" Right, and then they said, "Okay, why did it exist in the first place? A super capable off-roader. Let's kind of do something. Let's take the technology we've learned over almost 30 years. Oh, geez, almost 40 years, and throw that at a crossover, and let's make something that's capable on road and off." And I think that this is 40 years in the making for the Pathfinder to meet the off-road capabilities that it originally had with the on-road characteristics that the unibody crossover has demanded it have, and kind of put them in one fun package.
There you go. That's the essence. That's it right there.
That's it. And hey, Mark, I think it's a good place to put a pin in it this week. Thank you so much for asking me these good questions and letting me drive this thing. And hey, thank you so much for listening. Hey, while you're out there listening and while you have your phones handy, why don't you head over to the Apple Podcast Store and click that 5-star review button, and also let us know what you want to hear about in the future, and let us know what you like hearing on the show. And hey, while you have your phone handy, why don't you head over to the Facebook, click that like button. That way you get all the great Autoweek content delivered directly to you. I say this at the end of every episode, and I sincerely mean it. Without your listenership, literally none of this could happen. So thank you for listening.